Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a really fascinating journey inward. I want you to imagine your body not just as flesh and bone, but as this ultimate, incredibly complex machine. It is a highly intricate network of specialized departments constantly working, repairing, and transporting materials 24/7. And, just like any high-performance machine, it requires some incredibly specific types of fuel to keep all those moving parts running smoothly.
So let me ask you something. Do you actually know what your last meal is doing inside your body right this very second? It's so easy to think of food abstractly, as just a bunch of calories, or simply a way to stop your stomach from growling. But I'm going to challenge you to stop thinking about food that way. Right now, I want you to really start visualizing the physical mechanics of the exact nutrients you just consumed. Because the second you finish eating, this highly orchestrated, massive logistical operation kicks off inside of you.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We've got 4 main stops on our tour today. Number 1, meet your body's building blocks. 2, powering muscle and recovery. 3, the secrets of cellular hydration. And finally, number 4, building healthy red blood cells.
Starting off with Section 1, meet your body's building blocks, the physical framework.
So you've definitely heard of protein, right? But protein is actually made up of these smaller, fundamental puzzle pieces called amino acids. Now, your body is this amazing manufacturing plant, and it can actually synthesize a bunch of these amino acids completely on its own. But, and this is absolutely crucial, there are exactly 9 essential amino acids that it simply cannot make. Imagine a sprawling, massive factory that suddenly has to halt all production because it's missing one highly specific, custom part from a supplier. We absolutely must acquire these 9 specific building blocks directly from our diet to prevent malnutrition and, well, basically to survive.
So, where exactly are we getting them? Well, when we compare the densities of our raw materials, animal sources score incredibly high in amino acids like lysine at 85 and threonine at 44. But hey, do not count out the plant sources. Nuts and seeds actually pack higher densities of tryptophan at 17 and sulfur-containing amino acids at 46. Honestly, it is all about getting a really balanced variety of these raw materials.
Moving right along to Section 2, powering muscle and recovery, or as I like to think of it, deploying the repair crew.
I want you to think of whole food protein sources, your salmon, your eggs, cheese, and beef, as your body's absolute ultimate repair crew. Because every single time you exercise or train hard, your muscles endure these tiny microscopic physical tears. And protein? Well, protein steps right in as the dedicated crew that patches those tears up.
This whole repair process basically happens in 3 distinct steps. Step 1, it supports muscle growth. It literally hands your muscles the exact structural tools they need to grow back stronger after a workout. Step 2, it actively prevents muscle loss. Like when you're training super hard or maybe cutting calories, your body might actually try to break down your muscle for energy. Protein steps in to fiercely protect the muscle you've already built. And step 3, it powers muscle expansion, which is scientifically known as hypertrophy.
Now, for your muscles to actually achieve this hypertrophy, this true physical expansion, they need a really consistent, steady supply of protein. Pairing your regular strength training with that steady protein intake is the precise formula you need to keep up with the massive physical demands of heavy lifting. It basically guarantees your muscles can repair and expand way faster, which actually reduces that deep, lingering soreness you sometimes feel for days after a heavy workout.
So you're probably wondering, exactly how much fuel does my personal machine require? Let's break down the math. If your goal is simply general health and maintaining a sedentary to maybe moderately active lifestyle, you need about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of your body weight. But if you are actively trying to build muscle and hit that hypertrophy we just talked about, that requirement literally doubles. You are going to need 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram just to meet the intense demands of your internal repair crew.
But look, even with the math totally right, people still make mistakes. The biggest ones? Well, simply not eating enough to actually match those specific goals. Another huge one is relying way too heavily on processed protein powders instead of nutrient-dense whole foods, which, by the way, keep you fuller for a lot longer. And finally, poor timing. Skipping that post-workout window, that absolutely crucial first hour after you train, means your muscles are primed and ready to soak up nutrients, but your repair crew literally has 0 materials to work with.
Let's shift gears to Section 3, the secrets of cellular hydration and your internal fluid dynamics.
Okay, we all know drinking water is a good thing, right? But cellular hydration is actually this highly specific, highly mechanical process. It is the maintenance of fluid balance inside the trillions of individual cells in your body, and it works via these things called osmotic pressure gradients. Think of osmotic pressure as a microscopic, super high-stakes tug-of-war happening right across your cell membranes. If you don't have enough water circulating in your system, that increased osmotic pressure literally draws water out from the inside of your cells. Imagine those plump, healthy cells suddenly shrinking down like little raisins, completely losing their structural integrity. Not good at all.
And guess what actually governs this intense tug-of-war? Electrolytes. Take sodium and potassium, for example. Sodium is completely essential, but it naturally draws water out. So consuming way too much sodium without enough fluid, that raises your blood pressure. Potassium acts as this vital counterbalance. It steps in to help restore that cellular fluid balance, pulling water right back where it needs to be, which actively lowers your blood pressure and reduces your risk of a stroke. It's wild. They are locked in this constant, never-ending battle just to keep your machine perfectly balanced.
And this is exactly why this tiny microscopic cellular science actually matters to your everyday life. When your cells are constantly shrinking because of a poor sodium-potassium balance or just a lack of fluids, it leads to chronic cellular dehydration. Over time, guys, this isn't just about feeling a little thirsty. It is directly linked to some pretty severe long-term health effects like insulin resistance and hypertension, which is just the medical term for high blood pressure. So balancing these electrolytes is absolutely critical for your long-term heart health.
All right, final stop. Section 4. Building healthy red blood cells, your microscopic transport system.
Let me introduce you to a massive, very scientific-sounding word, erythropoiesis. I know, it's a mouthful, but it is just the biological process of producing brand new red blood cells. See, our body acts as this continuous 24/7 blood manufacturing plant because roughly 1% of our oldest red blood cells are destroyed and completely recycled every single day. Just to put the sheer scale of that factory into perspective for a second, your body is churning out roughly 2 million new red blood cells every single second. 2 million.
But here's the catch. This incredible manufacturing plant requires highly specific nutrients right on the assembly line, and there's a very strict allocation of labor here. Folate and vitamin B12, they are put straight to work on DNA synthesis and cellular proliferation. Basically, without them, the cells simply cannot divide and multiply. Period. Meanwhile, iron has a totally different job. It's used for hemoglobin synthesis, and hemoglobin is the actual physical vehicle inside the cell that carries vital oxygen to all of your tissues.
Now, medical research makes this crystal clear. A lack of these specific nutrients, particularly iron, physically derails your entire assembly line. Without enough iron, the production rate slows way down, and the red blood cells that do manage to get made, they are physically smaller and they're weaker. They literally carry less hemoglobin. This directly results in anemia, which is exactly why a lack of these specific nutrients physically drags down your daily energy levels and just leaves you feeling completely exhausted. Your transport system is quite literally failing to deliver oxygen.
So we have officially toured your structural framework, the muscle repair crew, the fluid logistics, and your internal blood manufacturing plant. Literally every single bite of food you take provides the amino acids, the electrolytes, the vitamins, and the minerals that keep all of these vital departments running. So I'm going to leave you with this somewhat provocative thought. Knowing the incredibly complex mechanics of exactly what happens after you swallow, how do you plan to fuel your body's machine for your very next meal? Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today, and keep learning.